The field that knows your name. Introduction. Before your first breath, before even the thought of I formed within the silence, something ancient already knew you. It vibrated like a song beyond sound, a resonance that hummed your name into the fabric of existence. Every cell, every heartbeat, every moment you have ever lived is an echo of that first recognition. The universe does not begin out there. It begins within the quiet pulse of awareness that beats beneath your skin, and that pulse is connected to something vast, something living, something that knows you, even when you have forgotten yourself. They call it the quantum field. The ancients called it the breath of God. Physicists describe it as an invisible sea of energy connecting every particle, every thought, every star. But in truth, it is consciousness, aware, creative, intelligent, folding upon itself to experience its own reflection through you. When you speak, it listens. When you imagine, it responds. When you love, it expands. The field does not watch from a distance. It feels you in the way light feels a flame, or an ocean feels a single drop. It is the living mirror through which every vibration of your being becomes visible, and it remembers, because it cannot forget what it has created. There are moments when you sense it, those brief silences between thoughts, when the world seems to breathe with you. The gentle pull in your chest when gratitude floods your heart. The sudden stillness before inspiration arrives. Those are not coincidences. They are alignments, fleeting reminders that the field has recognized your frequency. For everything you are, everything you think, everything you feel, radiates. Your heart emits an electromagnetic field measurable several feet beyond your body. Your brain pulses with photonic currents, tiny flashes of light scientists call biophotons. Every cell is both antenna and transmitter, constantly exchanging information with the unified field. And here lies the mystery most overlook. The field does not merely receive your signal, it remembers it. Like ripples in water that never truly fade, your energetic signature lingers in the vastness, carrying your story across dimensions. Each time you feel love, you strengthen that signal. Each time you fall into fear, it distorts. Yet the field does not judge. It simply mirrors, translating vibration into circumstance, emotion into matter, thought into form. Reality is not a sequence of random events. It is a symphony of resonances. The higher your coherence, the clearer your music, the more the universe recognizes it as harmony. And when harmony is reached, the field speaks back. It speaks not through words, but through alignments. Through the book that falls open to the page you needed to read. Through the stranger who says exactly what you were silently asking. Through the song that plays just as your heart breaks and somehow heals it. You call it a coincidence. The mystics call it communication. The field calls it resonance recognition. It is not superstition. It is physics at its most sacred. Every atom is an orchestra of frequency. Every thought is a waveform bending the probability field. Every feeling you sustain shifts the geometry of the invisible lattice around you. And when emotion and thought pulse in coherence, the field rearranges itself in perfect mathematical response. This is the forgotten language of creation, spoken not by lips, but by vibration. The universe does not reward belief. It responds to coherence. It does not hear your words. It hears your frequency. And it will continue to mirror that signal until you realize that what you experience is you, broadcast through light. Once humanity believed the void was empty, a black stillness between the stars. Now we know the opposite is true. What we call space is not absence, it is awareness. It hums with zero-point energy, an infinite ocean of potential awaiting instruction. And that instruction comes from consciousness. When you focus your attention, truly focus, the field organizes itself around your observation. The double-slit experiment proved it. The observer does not watch reality. The observer creates it. Particles behave like possibilities until awareness looks at them. Then they choose. So what do they choose? They choose you, because your attention tells them what to become. Every moment you choose love over fear, order over chaos, gratitude over resistance, the field takes note, not as a judge, but as a listener. It records your vibration, amplifies it, and reflects it in the circumstances that unfold. This is why life seems to know you, because it literally does. The coincidences that shape your path, the synchronicities that lead you toward your destiny, are not accidents. They are the field whispering, "I remember." When your thoughts align with your emotions, a current forms, like a magnetic bridge between you and the infinite. That current carries intention into the subatomic fabric of reality. It is not metaphor, it is coherence. And coherence is the signature of divine intelligence operating through you. You are not a separate being moving through space. You are the awareness through which space itself becomes meaningful. The field cannot forget you because you are written into its code. Your vibration leaves a trace, a luminous thread woven into the architecture of the cosmos. Even when you feel invisible, the universe is still listening to your song. Even when you doubt your worth, the field is still holding your name in its light. But what happens when that connection weakens? When does the noise of the world drown the inner frequency of the soul? When the signal becomes distorted and the field no longer mirrors clarity, but confusion, that is when the field does not vanish. It hides. It retreats into silence, waiting for coherence to return. Because the field never abandons what it has created. It waits. It listens. And when you remember again, when your heart and mind realign, you will hear it once more. The whisper in the light, calling your true name across eternity. Section 2. The Bridge of Emotion. Between you and the infinite stretches a bridge made not of matter, but of motion, vibration clothed in feeling. This bridge is the language of creation itself. It hums beneath thought, beyond reason, translating the silent frequencies of your heart into geometry the universe can understand. Emotion is the alphabet of the field, each feeling a pulse of light sent into the unseen. Love radiates coherence, a pattern so elegant that even atoms align to it. Fear fractures that symmetry, scattering information into noise. Yet both are heard, for the field never ignores a signal. It merely mirrors it. Every emotion you hold reshapes the architecture of your electromagnetic field. The HeartMath Institute once measured how gratitude, compassion, and joy synchronize the heart and brain into a single harmonic wave, a condition they call coherence. When that harmony is achieved, your entire being becomes a tuning fork that resonates with the intelligence of the cosmos. That is when the bridge activates. You don't need words to pray. The field understands your emotion long before your mind has translated it into language. Gratitude speaks louder than 1,000 affirmations. Love, held steadily, alters probability itself. But few cross this bridge consciously. Most drift across it by accident, carried by the winds of unconscious emotion. They speak of wanting peace while vibrating with anxiety. They ask for abundance while radiating lack. And then they say the universe is silent. Yet the universe is never silent. It simply echoes what you emit. The tragedy of humanity is not that we are unheard, but that we have forgotten how to listen. We try to think our way into change, while the language of the field is feeling. It does not respond to logic, it responds to resonance. Every time you react in anger, you send a dissonant chord across the bridge. Every time you choose forgiveness, the bridge brightens, alive again with the color of coherence. Emotion is the compass of creation, the invisible dial turning the probabilities of reality. But when that compass spins wildly, fear, doubt, resentment, guilt, your signal fractures. The field doesn't abandon you. It just mirrors the static back. And what returns feels like chaos. You are never punished by the universe. You are simply surrounded by the reflection of your vibration. There was a time when you felt it, even if you didn't name it. That strange warmth when you forgave someone, and the air itself seemed lighter. That sudden flow when everything aligned after you finally stopped trying. That wasn't a coincidence. That was coherence. The field responded instantly because your emotion finally matched the truth. And for a moment, reality recognized you. Every synchronicity you've ever experienced, every perfect timing, every impossible alignment is evidence that the bridge still works. It's alive. It's responsive. It's waiting for you to remember that emotion is not weakness, it's the steering wheel of the soul. The universe doesn't answer to thoughts alone. It answers to feeling, because feeling is energy with intention. You think light travels fast, but emotion travels faster. Because emotion is the light that has learned how to feel. To speak the language of the field, you must realign the heart and mind into coherence. Not through effort, but through awareness. The process is simple, but sacred. When you breathe deeply, slowly, your heart rhythm shifts into order. That order entrains your brainwaves into harmony, and that harmony generates a magnetic field measurable by science and recognizable by the universe. That is the prayer the cosmos hears. So when you meditate, do not chase stillness, feel it. When you visualize, do not imagine the picture, feel the frequency of it fulfilled. When you wish to heal, do not demand, become grateful, and the bridge opens. For the field does not respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. And what you are, moment to moment, is determined by the emotional frequency you sustain. That is the hidden lever of manifestation. Not belief, not discipline, not even thought, feeling. Emotion is your living password to the quantum field. Every time you feel something deeply, the universe updates your coordinates. This is why miracles never happen to the indifferent. Indifference sends no signal, only emotion bends reality. If you could see the bridge from the field's perspective, you would weep. It glows with the colors of your becoming, every heartbeat painting waves of gold and turquoise across the ether. Every time you feel joy, the bridge brightens. Every time you lose hope, it dims, not in punishment, but in reflection. And yet, no matter how many times the bridge fades, the path remains, because consciousness remembers. The field holds your name like a frequency it refuses to erase. When you love again, when you forgive again, when you trust again, the bridge lights up as though the universe sighs in recognition. And for a moment, everything around you rearranges into divine symmetry. Because the bridge was never about reaching something outside you. It was about remembering that you were never disconnected. But there is one more secret hidden beneath this bridge. Emotion may open the path, but it is the observer who decides what takes shape across it. For what you feel is the frequency, but what you see determines what the field becomes. And so we must turn now to the next mystery, the power that looks through your eyes, the one who chooses what the field will remember next. Section 3. The Field and the Observer. There is a power that no telescope can detect and no microscope can define, yet it shapes galaxies and human destinies alike. It is not energy, nor matter, nor even thought. It is awareness, the silent witness behind every perception, the light behind your eyes, the one who looks out from within. For centuries, mystics whispered that consciousness is the foundation of creation. Now, physics begins to echo the same truth, that the universe exists only when it is observed, that without a witness there is no world, only waves of possibility waiting for someone to look. You are not the byproduct of the universe observing itself. You are the point from which the universe becomes real. Each time you open your eyes, a universe unfolds before you, not the same one as before, but one tuned to your frequency, sculpted by the expectation you carry into the act of seeing. The field does not decide what becomes real. You do. Your observation collapses its infinite probabilities into a single unfolding. You are the observer, and the act of observing is the most powerful creative force in existence. It is through your gaze that light takes form, through your attention that time arranges itself, through your awareness that the field awakens because it sees itself through you. The field that knows your name also sees through your eyes. It learns what you focus on because your attention is its instruction, but this truth is a double-edged key, because whatever you look upon, you command into being. When your attention is captured by fear, the field rearranges itself to confirm it. When you fixate on lack, it amplifies the reflection of emptiness. When you look at the possibility with love and expectancy, the field rushes forward to fulfill it. Reality does not argue with you. It obeys the pattern of your observation. This is why you can pray for peace while attracting chaos, because the emotion behind your attention is still fear. The field cannot lie. It only mirrors coherence. It is not moral or selective. It is responsive. The observer effect, once a physics anomaly, is now a metaphysical revelation. In laboratory experiments, particles behaved like waves, infinite, undefined, pure potential, until someone watched. The very act of measuring, of observing, made them choose a state. The unseen became seen. The probability collapsed into presence. And so it is with life. Every time you measure a situation through judgment, expectation, or belief, you collapse one version of reality into existence, and then you call it fate. But fate is not written in stone. It is drawn in light, and light moves according to your focus. The tragedy is not that the universe hides its secrets. The tragedy is that humans keep looking at what they fear, and then wonder why the fear materializes. Think back to the last time you expected something to go wrong, and it did. The last time you feared rejection, and somehow it found you. The last time you believed you were blessed, and blessings arrived effortlessly. That wasn't a coincidence. That was an observation interacting with the field. Your focus is creative. Your attention is alchemical. Whatever you look at with emotional conviction, the field interprets as a command. This is why spiritual teachers throughout time have said, "As you believe, so shall it be." Belief is not philosophy. It is the mechanism through which observation gains power. Belief fuses thought with emotion, turning awareness into a magnetic signal. You are constantly programming the field through what you choose to look at. And because the field knows your name, it treats your attention as sacred instruction. When you fix your gaze on love, the field amplifies connection. When you fix your gaze on fear, it amplifies division. The field is not moral, it is mathematical. It obeys coherence. It translates focus into frequency, and frequency into form. To observe is to create. And what you see most often is what you become. So how do you become a conscious observer, a deliberate creator, rather than an unconscious repeater? The answer is both simple and profound. Where you look is what you live. Observation is not limited to vision. It includes every act of attention, every thought you dwell on, every emotion you nurture, every story you repeat. Each moment of attention is a seed dropped into the quantum soil of the field. To become a conscious observer, begin with awareness itself. Pause throughout your day and ask, what am I observing right now? And what am I energizing by observing it? This single question reclaims your creative power. Because every complaint, every worry, every mental replay, every hopeful visualization, all are acts of observation. And every act of observation reshapes the probabilities around you. If you observe gratitude, your field tunes to abundance. If you observe resistance, it echoes that resistance back. If you observe stillness, it mirrors stillness. Observation is the bridge between mind and manifestation. To see is to send energy, to focus is to feed, to release is to free. This is why ancient sages practiced non-attachment. It was never about indifference, it was about precision. They learned to observe reality without judgment, so the field could unfold in harmony instead of distortion. Observation without resistance is divine vision. It allows the field to reveal its higher order, to show you that every event, even the painful ones, is geometry in motion. You cannot control the field by force. You harmonize with it through attention. The moment you watch your thoughts as an observer rather than a victim, you rise above the storm. You cease collapsing chaos and begin sculpting coherence, because the field only mirrors what you identify with. And when you remember that you are the witness, not the noise, the storm obeys the sky again. The field is not outside you, watching from afar. It peers through your eyes, breathes through your lungs, and listens through your heart. You and the field are one awareness playing a game of reflection, pretending to be two. Every time you observe with fear, the illusion of separation deepens. Every time you observe with love, the illusion thins, and the mirror shines clearer. The field does not need to be convinced. It only needs to be remembered. And the act of remembering is not thinking, it is seeing. Seeing through the lens of unity rather than division. Seeing through the calm heart rather than the reactive mind. Seeing as the universe sees itself, without resistance, without judgment, without fear. When you learn to see this way, miracles cease being exceptions and become natural consequences. Because the field recognizes its own light returning through your gaze. It rushes to meet you, like an ocean recognizing a wave that has remembered it belongs to the sea. You are the observer, the instrument, and the experiment. You are the eye through which infinity observes itself and calls it reality. And when you realize that, the world stops being a question. It becomes an answer, your answer. But if observation shapes the field, there remains another secret layer, the instrument through which observation speaks. Even awareness requires a channel, a medium, a tool. That instrument is thought, the sculptor of frequency, the architect of perception. And when thought joins emotion in harmony, the universe listens not as potential, but as command. So let us now cross into the next mystery, the structure of thought itself, and how the geometry of your thinking determines the shape of the world you walk in. Section 4. The signature of thought. Every thought you think leaves a mark upon the invisible. It is not lost. It vibrates, it travels, and it imprints itself into the fabric of the quantum field like ripples in liquid light. Thought is not confined to the skull. It is architecture in motion. Each idea is a geometric command, a pattern of frequency that instructs the field to take form. You are surrounded by the echo of your thinking, for the universe is a mirror that records every mental signature you release into it. There are thoughts that shimmer like starlight, luminous, coherent, harmonic, and there are thoughts that fragment like static, scattering energy into chaotic reflections. Both are creative. Both send messages into the infinite. But only one opens the pathway to resonance with the divine order. Your reality, in this very moment, is not a random collection of events. It is the afterimage of the thoughts you've entertained long enough for the field to memorize. You are not punished by your thinking. You are surrounded by it. The world around you is your mind turned inside out. Most people underestimate the power of thought because they imagine it as private, a silent narrative contained within. But nothing is private in an energetic universe. Every thought generates a measurable electromagnetic signature. It pulses from your neurons into the quantum substrate around you. The frequency of your thinking literally changes the coherence of your biofield, and that field interfaces with the larger field of reality. When your thoughts are fragmented, the outer world appears chaotic. When your thoughts are focused, loving, and consistent, the outer world rearranges itself in symmetrical patterns. But there is a danger hidden in the unconscious mind: repetition. The thoughts you think most often, even the ones you dislike, become programs that the field reads as requests. The more you dwell on lack, the more lack becomes encoded into your energetic signature. The more you replay anger, the more the field mirrors anger back as circumstance. This is not superstition, it's coherence physics. The field does not discriminate between what you fear and what you desire. It amplifies whatever pattern you sustain with emotional charge. The tragedy is not that thoughts are powerful, it's that most minds are unguarded, broadcasting chaos while praying for peace. Every unexamined belief is a seed. Every inner argument is an algorithm, and the field listens to them all. Have you ever noticed how one recurring thought can shape your entire day? How a single assumption, "I'm not enough," "this will fail," "life never works for me," changes the color of everything you see. It's not your imagination, it's entrainment. Your thoughts are frequencies that entrain the brain, the heart, and even the particles around you into resonance. Hold a belief long enough, and the body begins to behave as if it's true. The field simply follows the signal. This is why two people can live in the same world and yet inhabit completely different realities. They are not reacting to what is, but to what they believe about what is. And the field honors both with perfect precision. There's no favoritism in divine law, only fidelity. The field is loyal to your dominant vibration, not your fleeting wishes. This is why change begins not with effort, but with observation. When you start to see your own thinking as energy, alive, active, magnetic, you reclaim authorship of your creation. Because only what you are aware of can be rewritten. Thoughts are not your enemies. They are tools, but they must be used consciously, deliberately, and in alignment with emotion and faith. Here lies the formula most overlooked. Thought gives the pattern. Emotion gives the power. Belief gives permission. Without one, creation remains incomplete. To direct your thinking is to tune your frequency. Every time you choose a thought aligned with truth, harmony, gratitude, love, possibility, you upgrade your internal signal. You recode the geometry of your field. Scientific studies show that sustained intention alters the structure of water molecules and electromagnetic coherence in random systems. If human focus can influence matter at a distance, imagine what your focused thinking does to the quantum field that's woven through your every cell. Each thought is like a brushstroke across the infinite canvas. Paint carelessly, and chaos emerges. Paint with awareness, and divine symmetry appears. The key is not to suppress negative thoughts, but to neutralize them through observation. When you notice a fear without identifying with it, it dissolves. When you watch anger without merging into it, the energy discharges. Awareness purifies thought. The moment you witness your thinking instead of believing it, you step from being the thought to being the observer, and from that vantage, you can reprogram the field. To master your thinking, begin small. Observe one repeating thought today. Ask whether it serves expansion or contraction. If it contracts, breathe light into it. Replace it not by force, but by frequency. Think the thought that love would think in your place, and you will find that the world begins to harmonize around that vibration. Because thoughts are not clouds passing by. They are currently steering destiny. When the ancients said, "In the beginning was the Word," they weren't speaking of language, they were describing vibration shaped by intelligence. Every word ever spoken was first a thought. Every universe ever born was first an idea in the mind of the infinite. You, too, are that infinite, dreaming itself through patterns of thought, weaving cosmos out of cognition. You are not small. You are the thought of God, thinking itself into form. And as that realization dawns, everything begins to change. The world no longer feels random. It becomes intimate, conversational. You start to see the reflection of your mental clarity in the flow of your day, in the peace of your body, in the timing of life's synchronicities. The field listens not to your effort, but to your essence, and your essence is broadcast through the thought you choose to sustain when no one else is watching. Every time you choose to think with love, the field reorganizes itself. Every time you think with fear, it tightens, awaiting your correction. The field is not separate from you. It is your mind made visible, your thinking multiplied by infinity. So guard it as you would guard light itself. Because thought is sacred fire, and the world is its shadow, but thought is only the beginning. There is a realm beyond words, beyond cognition, a direct communication between the soul and the field. It is older than language and faster than thought. It is the pure current of energy that creation uses to speak to itself. It is light. Not the light you see, but the light that knows. And once you learn to speak in that language, reality no longer just answers. It sings your name across dimensions. Let us now enter that higher octave, the language of light. Section 5. The language of light. Before there was sound, before matter condensed into form, before time began to count itself, there was light. Not the light of stars, but the inner radiance that births stars. The primordial awareness that said, "Let there be," and became its own answer. Everything you have ever touched, every cell, every dream, every thought, is condensed light, slowed down, curved through gravity, woven into flesh and memory. To see light is to see God moving in measurable speed. To be light is to remember that you are not a body shining. You are the shining that chose to appear as a body. The field that knows your name speaks in this ancient radiance. Its words are wavelengths. Its sentences are patterns of coherence. Every photon that dances across the universe carries information, an unbroken dialogue between the invisible and the visible. Light is consciousness translated into motion, and every being, every emotion, every thought is a dialect of that motion. But humanity forgot this tongue. We began to believe that communication meant words, that meaning was born in the mouth instead of in the heart. We learned to speak in noise while forgetting how to speak in light. In truth, every time you emit a feeling, every time you think, every time you love, you are sending pulses of biophotonic information through your field. Your cells flash, literally flash, in rhythm with your emotional state. When you are calm, the light inside you arranges itself in fractal harmony. When you are afraid, that pattern becomes erratic, chaotic, and dim. It's not a metaphor, it's physics. Your DNA emits light measured in photons per second, and that light shifts with your consciousness. You are, in every moment, broadcasting your state of being into the quantum sea, a living Morse code between your inner world and the infinite. The tragedy of modern life is not that we lack connection, but that we've forgotten how to radiate truthfully. We try to manifest with thoughts while hiding emotions, forgetting that the field doesn't read language, it reads luminosity. You cannot lie in the field. Your light tells the truth. Think of the moments when someone walked into a room and without a word changed the entire atmosphere. That was not charisma. It was coherence. Their field was bright, stable, resonant, and every nervous system nearby synchronized with it. Now remember a time when someone's presence felt heavy, draining, like walking into static. That too was light, scattered, inconsistent, shadowed by unintegrated emotion. We feel light long before we see it, and the universe feels yours. This is why certain prayers are answered instantly, while others echo unanswered for years. It's not about worthiness, it's about wavelength. The clearer the light you emit, the faster the resonance returns. A pure signal never gets lost in the field. You are not waiting for divine favor. You are adjusting your brightness until the divine can find your frequency again. The field recognizes you by your light signature. Every soul vibrates in a unique spectrum, like a cosmic fingerprint woven of love, memory, and will. The field doesn't respond to your name as sound. It responds to the vibration behind it. When you say, "I am," the universe listens for the light that follows. To speak the language of light, you must do what light does, radiate without resistance. Light never asks permission to shine. It simply reveals. It never argues with darkness. It enters, and darkness ceases to be. So too must you learn to emit your truth without defense, without fear of misunderstanding, without contraction. When you stop hiding your light beneath doubt or shame, the field finally receives your full signal. Unbroken, unmistakable, divine. Begin with the body, because the body is crystallized light. When you breathe consciously, you open the channels through which energy flows. When you feel gratitude, that flow brightens into coherence. When you forgive, the light accelerates. When you love, it becomes self-luminous, needing no source beyond itself. This is why ancient initiates practiced visualization not to escape the world, but to instruct it. When they imagined light descending through the crown, filling the heart, expanding outward, they were modulating their frequency, commanding the field in its own language. They weren't begging for miracles, they were speaking them. To speak in light means to become the vibration of what you desire. If you wish to heal, radiate wholeness. If you wish to attract, radiate generosity. If you wish to awaken, radiate awareness itself. Because in the field, nothing is translated, it is transmitted. The moment your inner light matches the pattern of what you seek, reality aligns instantly. Light moves faster than thought, because it is thought, freed of resistance. You are not separate from the sun. You are a localized star of awareness, broadcasting divine data through every photon of your being. The field listens through luminosity, and your light carries the story of your becoming. Each time you forgive, you polish your mirror. Each time you love without demand, you amplify your signal. Each time you breathe with presence, the field registers your coherence and rearranges accordingly. Light is the divine memory of perfection, trying to remember itself through you. And when you remember that, miracles no longer appear extraordinary. They become ordinary expressions of a universe recognizing its own reflection. When you align thought, emotion, and awareness into a single beam, the field answers in radiant symmetry. Life becomes luminous, not easier but clearer. You stop walking through shadows and begin projecting reality instead of reacting to it. The field doesn't speak English or Sanskrit or mathematics, it speaks vibration, geometry, and radiance. And now you remember that language again. So when you pray, see the light. When you act, become the light. When you doubt, return to the light. For that is how the field knows your name, not by sound, but by shining. Yet even light forgets its origin when it travels too far from its source. It bends, it slows, it becomes matter, and matter forgets that it was once divine fire. So too do we. We descend into form, into stories, into time, and the memory of our radiance dims beneath the weight of experience. But the field never forgets. It waits for the spark to remember the flame. And so we arrive at the final mystery, the act of remembering itself. What happens when the light within you recalls the source it came from? When the field that knows your name whispers it back into your heart, that is where the journey ends and begins again. Section 6. The Remembering. There comes a moment, quiet, unannounced, when the soul stops searching and begins remembering. It does not arrive with thunder or revelation, but with stillness, a silence that hums with recognition. You feel it not in thought, but in being, a subtle warmth that begins in the chest and spreads like dawn through every cell. Something ancient stirs within you, not to be discovered, but to be recalled. This is the remembering. It is not learning something new. It is awakening to what has always been true. The moment when the light you have sought through time turns inward and finds itself already shining. The remembering is the return of coherence, the reunion of the observer, the thought, the emotion, and the light into one single awareness. It is the merging of the spark and the source, the point where the field and the self become indistinguishable again. You were never lost. You were only dreaming of separation. And now, as the dream begins to dissolve, you remember the oldest truth in existence, that you are the field, and the field is you. But this remembering does not come easily, because you have spent a lifetime building the illusion of forgetting. From the moment consciousness descends into matter, amnesia begins. The frequency slows, the light condenses. The awareness that once moved as pure potential becomes bound by form, by biology, by identity, and within that limitation, the soul begins to believe it is small. It begins to believe it is the story rather than the storyteller. It begins to measure itself in years and fears, in possessions and positions. The tragedy of forgetting is not ignorance, it is identification. We have mistaken the echo for the voice, the reflection for the source. We chase validation from the mirror instead of realizing we are the mirror. Every experience of suffering is not punishment. It is the vibration of misalignment, the feedback of forgetting. When you believe you are unloved, the field mirrors that belief until it hurts enough to awaken you. When you believe you are separate, life becomes a labyrinth designed to bring you home. You are not being tested, you are being reminded. Every obstacle is an echo saying, "Remember what you are." Every heartbreak is the field whispering, "Return to coherence." The remembering begins the moment you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and begin asking, "What part of me is this trying to awaken?" Think back to the moments that changed you the most, not the easy ones, the breaking ones, the nights when your plans collapsed, when silence replaced certainty, when everything you thought you were dissolved. Those were not punishments. They were recalibrations, points where your vibration could no longer sustain the old frequency. The field was not abandoning you. It was upgrading you. Every breakdown was a realignment with a greater coherence. Every ending was an opening into the infinite. Remember this: pain is not the opposite of love. It is the friction between who you think you are and who you are becoming. And once you realize that, even your suffering becomes sacred, because the field does not only speak through synchronicities and peace, it speaks through contrast, through resistance, through the gravitational pull of awakening. If you are hurting, you are remembering. If you are questioning, you are awakening. If you are longing, it is because the light within you is calling itself home. You cannot fail in this. It is inevitable, written into the quantum code of consciousness. The only variable is time, and even time bends for those who awaken willingly. So how does one remember? Not by effort, but by surrender. Not by acquiring more knowledge, but by letting go of what is not true. To remember is to release the illusion of being separate from what you seek. The first step is stillness. When you become still, the interference ceases and the original signal returns. You begin to feel the pulse of the field, the hum of coherence vibrating beneath thought. The next step is gratitude. Gratitude collapses the illusion of distance. It transforms every experience into evidence of divine communication. Gratitude says, "I see you," and the field replies, "Then I am seen." And finally, the highest step is self-recognition, not as ego, but as essence. When you look in the mirror and see not a person, but light, not a history, but awareness, you unlock the final code. In that moment, every law aligns, emotion stabilizes, thought becomes clear, observation becomes luminous, and the field responds instantly, because it is no longer responding to you, but as you. This is the secret all mystics knew. The prayer that never fails is not spoken to the universe. It is spoken as the universe. When you say, "I am," and you mean it with coherence, creation reorganizes. When light remembers its source, it stops traveling. It becomes presence, and when you remember what you are, you stop seeking signs, because you realize that you are the sign the field has been sending all along. You are not the wave looking for the ocean. You are the ocean, remembering it can take any shape it chooses. Your name is not the word you were given at birth. Your name is your vibration, the frequency that eternity recognizes when it wishes to experience itself again. The field that knows your name has never stopped calling it. Every synchronicity, every miracle, every coincidence, every ache was its voice. Every breath you've ever taken was its answer. And now, as you remember, You realize there was never a conversation between two beings, only one awareness speaking in infinite languages of frequency, thought, emotion, and light. You are not a fragment in the cosmos. You are the cosmos remembering itself. And as that remembrance deepens, the need to understand fades, replaced by the peace of simply being, a peace so vast it cannot be broken, because it was never made. It always was. And so the journey comes full circle. The frequency you emit is the voice of your soul. The emotion you sustain is the bridge across the invisible. The thoughts you think are the patterns the field memorizes. The light you radiate is your signature in creation. And the awareness behind it all, the one who watches, feels, and shines, is the field itself, dreaming of you. You are the prayer and the answer, the question and the solution, the silence and the song. And now, when the field whispers your name, you no longer hear it as something outside of you. You feel it as the pulse of existence itself. Because the field that knows your name, I was never speaking to you. It was speaking as you. And now, the field falls silent, not because it has vanished, but because it is waiting for something only you can give. You have remembered the field. You have felt its whisper, its pulse, its recognition. But what happens next depends on what you send back. For the field does not move first. You do. It mirrors, magnifies, and materializes what your essence transmits. Every vibration you hold, every thought you repeat, every emotion you sustain becomes instruction. In truth, reality is not something happening to you. It is something happening through you. You are the broadcast tower of creation, the living frequency through which the infinite translates itself into form. The field has spoken your name. Now, it listens for your signal, and what comes next will reveal the greatest secret of all, that you were never waiting for the universe. The universe was waiting for you. Next, you're the signal. Reality is the response.